Once upon a time, under a night sky illuminated by twinkling stars, the rugged mountain ranges loomed in the distance. Amidst this serene setting, the sound of a child crying broke the stillness. A thought immediately surfaced: am I hearing a baby cry? In this remote mountainous area, the man was sure that a tiny mouse must have sneaked in. If they came here to steal from his house, they were out of luck. The large, burly man stood imposingly, holding a massive axe. But as he rushed forward, ready to catch the imagined mice, he was met with emptiness. Ever since I knew we couldn't have children, I've been hearing these ghostly sounds, he thought. His eyes widened in surprise. What is this? A baby? He immediately picked up the baby tenderly. Holding the child, he listened to its breathing as if it were his own. While the hunter was lost in the moment, his sleepy wife stumbled out. Vincent, what's all the noise about? She asked. Vincent replied, Olena, did I wake you? She wasn't too concerned about being woken up, only curious why he was holding a baby. Vincent hesitated but then explained, well, I think this might be our child. And that's when the miraculous events began. As the child opened its eyes and waved its hand, a sudden gust of wind blew, bringing with it clouds that soon unleashed rain. The once barren land flourished, and the villagers sang songs of joy. The child protected the village from lurking dangers with its mystical powers, bringing peace and ensuring no one went hungry. The villagers believed these powers were magic and began calling the child a sorcerer. A voice interrupted, are you reading a book? The young boy, Arian Chiron, looked up with bright eyes. This 12-year-old boy was the adopted son of Arian Vincent, who was now 40. Vincent, seeing his son, couldn't contain his excitement and hugged him tightly. You're so adorable. I've finished chopping wood, so let's go home and eat. Suddenly, the boy asked, Dad, I have a question. How do people use magic? What exactly is magic? Vincent was taken aback, thinking about the book he had given his son. As they walked, he explained, well, magic is simple. If you can bring down a bear with a single arrow, or chop down a tree with one swing, that's magic, right? Haha. As they walked, a group of children stared and whispered, oh, it's Mr. Vincent and Chiron. That kid never stops reading, even when we invite him to play. What's with that huge book? Does he even know how to read? He looks so skinny, not at all like Mr. Vincent. My mom said they found him somewhere. Maybe he was abandoned for being so weird. Hearing this, Vincent clenched his fists in anger. How dare they talk about his son like that? He looked at Chiron with compassion, but the boy just smiled and said, if I can chop a tree with one swing, that's magic, right, Dad? Vincent spoke softly to his son, Chiron, because you helped me with work today, tomorrow we'll go to the city. I'll buy you your favorite fruit. Vincent often blamed himself for not fulfilling his duties as a father. I'm sorry for not being a better father, he thought. But Chiron's innocent excitement, I'm so excited, melted his heart. No matter what anyone said, Chiron would always be his son. Chiron had a goal, he wanted to learn more about magic. The scene shifted to a bustling, vibrant city in the countryside of the kingdom of Thormia. The father and son were in awe of the city's lively marketplace, filled with shops and bustling with customers. Their carriage stopped, and Vincent reminded his son, wait at Mr. Martin's shop until I finish my errands. Don't wander into dark alleys or bump into nobles. Chiron nodded obediently, I know, Dad. Don't worry. After his father left, Chiron sat at Mr. Martin's shop and began writing. This surprised Mr. Martin, who exclaimed, wow, you really can write. Thank you, but you didn't have to do anything. It's nothing, Chiron replied. I wanted to help you. Impressed by the boy's intelligence, Mr. Martin thought, such a smart kid at such a young age, unlike my own who only causes trouble. Suddenly, Chiron called out, Sir, I have a question. Do you know magic? Chiron asked, his eyes wide with curiosity. Old Mr. Martin was taken aback, not quite understanding. Magic, you say? To him, the mention of magic conjured up childhood fantasies of dragons, heroes, sorcerers, and archers. Chiron held up a book to illustrate his question, but Mr. Martin could only smile sheepishly. I'm afraid I don't know much about magic. But there are plenty of books over there that talk about it. Would you like to take a look, he suggested, pointing to a nearby shelf. Chiron's eyes lit up at the mention of books. Really? I'll be back soon, he promised, dashing off, forgetting his father's instructions. Mr. Martin picked up the boy's book, chuckling with nostalgia. I used to read stories like these when I was young. Let's see. But as he read, his eyes widened in disbelief. Did that boy ask about using magic? Meanwhile, in the bookstore, Chiron eagerly reached for the books but was abruptly stopped. How dare you touch those? The shopkeeper scolded, her face stern. These expensive books aren't for poor folks like you. They're not like the ordinary books you see around. You can't touch them with your dirty hands. Disheartened, Chiron stepped back, thinking, these books are so expensive. Where did my father get mine? Just then, a well-dressed man entered the shop. Is my order ready? He asked. The shopkeeper's demeanor changed instantly. Oh, Chief Steward. Yes, of course. I have them right here. Taking advantage of her distraction, Chiron glanced through the books but found nothing of interest. Frustrated, he thought, I washed my hands, but reading books is still so difficult. He noticed the man leaving with his books and, curious, decided to follow him. As he trailed the man, Chiron was shocked to see the books discarded carelessly in a corner of the street. His heart sank as he realized, so this is where Dad gets my books? Standing there, he overheard a group of women gossiping nearby, reminding him of his father's warning about nobles. Why can they have books, but I can't, he wondered. Driven by curiosity, Chiron decided to follow them but was soon caught by a guard. Hey kid, this isn't a place for someone like you. Beyond this gate is a noble area. Where are your parents? The guards eyed him suspiciously. Looks like an orphan or maybe a thief's accomplice. Let's take him in. While they were distracted, Chiron slipped away. Where did he go? One guard shouted. Find him, you idiot. Can't even catch a kid? Chiron had quickly hidden in a bush, peeking out to ensure the coast was clear. Brushing off the petals stuck to him, he walked away, worried about his father's reaction. Dad's going to scold me for sure, he thought. Suddenly, he heard voices. So, what is magic? Someone asked. Headmaster, show us a fire spell. Intrigued, Chiron realized he was near a magic academy. The headmaster's voice responded, using magic on the school grounds is against the rules. But if you answer correctly, I will do it. What is the most important thing when learning magic? The students' answers varied: knowledge, hard work, and money. Magic items are expensive. The headmaster shook his head, none of these are correct. Chiron, listening intently, thought, not knowledge, hard work, or money. Or being a noble. The headmaster explained, the most important thing is clarity of mind. Do you know why 1 + 1 = 2? The students were puzzled. Because it's a universal truth, even without proof. Magic is similar, it's an inherent part of our world. Understanding and accepting it requires clarity. This clarity is what sets geniuses apart. The students were amazed. So, if we hone our skills, we can become great sorcerers too. Chiron, still hiding, wondered, can I become a sorcerer too? The headmaster then called out, you there, behind the wall. I want to hear your thoughts. Startled, Chiron froze. He noticed me? Should I run? I'm so dirty, what will they think? But a thought struck him. If I don't take this chance, I'll regret it forever. Summoning his courage, Chiron climbed the wall. As he appeared, the headmaster and students turned to look at him kindly. Have you come to play with us? The headmaster asked warmly. This person was the headmaster of Althea's Magic Academy. At his question, Chiron's face turned red with embarrassment. He was already having trouble sitting on the wall, making his body somewhat unbalanced. This tall wall was where Chiron reached a part of his desire. He approached the teacher and his classmates with a slightly fearful expression. The closer he got, the more comments the other children made about him. Headmaster, he's not a noble. I think he's a commoner. He can't be here, tell him to leave. Hearing these words made Chiron hesitate, causing him to falter and stop. Fortunately, the kind headmaster gently spoke, it's okay. What brings you here, young one? Is there something about magic that caught your interest? Hesitant, Chiron replied, I want to see magic. The headmaster asked, you've never seen magic before? No, I've only read about it in books. I've never seen it with my own eyes. The noble children immediately dismissed this. Liar, no commoner reads books. Chiron didn't mind much. He bowed his head and said, any magic will do. I just want to see it with my own eyes. The headmaster laughed. Ha ha ha, it's quite simple. I'll show you a spell that can create wind. As he cast the spell, the wind caused Chiron and the other students around him to start floating. Everyone was excited and shouting, while Chiron's face showed astonishment at what he was experiencing. They floated higher and higher before the headmaster gently lowered them back down. Chiron could feel himself descending and watched in wide-eyed amazement. Panicking, he squinted his eyes shut, afraid to look. He landed clumsily, causing his classmates to laugh uncontrollably. The headmaster chuckled and said, so, how was it? That's magic for you. Still trying to regain his confidence, Chiron questioned, magic? What is it exactly? The headmaster calmly explained, let's see. Magic is, to put it simply, something beyond the ordinary. In other words, it's a way to expand one's mind to discover the truth of the world. If that's too complicated. Chiron interrupted, it seems unrealistic, but perhaps because of that, it's closer to the truth. Surprised, the students and the headmaster looked at Chiron with changed expressions. The headmaster, intrigued, asked, "Did you read that in a book too?" "No, I've noticed a similarity among various books. Many great ideas were considered absurd and were avoided by people. But in the end, they accepted the information. It was a new truth uncovered. So, the real truth is hidden within those absurdities. That's what I think." Chiron eagerly asked, "What do I need to do to learn magic?" Recognizing Chiron's curiosity and determination, the headmaster acknowledged the boy's intelligence. Although it was difficult, Chiron was absorbing and filtering information to understand. Maybe the boy believed he could do it, but unfortunately, he was a commoner. After a moment of thought, the headmaster said, "To make it easier, I'll show you. Shaman, enter the spirit world." Chiron watched in amazement, wondering, the spirit world? The girl's expression changed as she said, "I have entered the spirit world." The headmaster began testing her. "All right, guess how many coins I'm holding." 6, she answered. "Correct." This surprised not only Chiron but also the other students. "How?" The headmaster explained, "When a mage focuses, their mind becomes sharp enough to sense everything around them. Exceptional mages can even count the leaves on a tree from a distance. This state is called extreme mental sensitivity." Chiron pondered, "Maybe everyone can do it." The headmaster advised, "Try practicing in a quiet place. First, you need to sense yourself. Then, clear all thoughts from your mind. While everyone can try, not everyone will succeed. When you achieve this, a new world will be revealed for you to explore. Do you understand?" Chiron, still puzzled, asked, "If I can't sense myself, then I can't clear my mind, right?" The headmaster, continuously impressed, asked, "Will you try?" "Right here." Understanding that if Chiron couldn't enter the spirit world, he wouldn't be able to learn magic, the headmaster watched. Chiron tried to sense himself, realizing that the brain was just an organ and that the senses and reality he perceived couldn't surpass the brain's concept. Understanding oneself wasn't about grasping its meaning but feeling it piece by piece, erasing everything perceived about oneself. Chiron's sensitivity increased, not just his existence but purely his mind. As he gradually entered the spirit world, the headmaster asked, "How does it feel? What do you sense?" Chiron replied, "I hear everything." The noble children burst out laughing, "Of course you hear everything." The headmaster understood. So, the boy couldn't do it after all. He patted Chiron's head, "Good job. If you keep practicing, you'll be able to hear even more sounds in the future. The special lesson is over. Let's return to school." As the headmaster walked away, he thought with regret, what an exceptional child. If only he had been born a noble and trained from a young age, he could achieve something similar to these noble children. But there are many talented children in the world. After the lesson, Chiron climbed over the wall to leave and jumped down to the ground. He was panting, feeling a mix of excitement and disbelief at his success. Then Chiron felt a resonating sound, wondering if this was truly the spirit world. It felt as if he was being torn into hundreds of pieces and scattered across the world, spreading through the earth and every continent, becoming one with the world. Overwhelmed by this sensation, Chiron started running quickly, unable to escape the vastness that made him tremble. Lost in thought, his running became aimless until he suddenly collided with a man on the street. The impact made him cry out and fall to the ground. Realizing he was at fault, Chiron immediately apologized, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." But the man seemed very aggressive. "What do you think you're doing? This is annoying." He grabbed Chiron by the collar. "You bump into someone, you have to pay, right?" Terrified, Chiron kept apologizing, I'm sorry. Sorry isn't enough. Are you from the wolf gang? Did you come to kill me?" Suddenly, a voice interrupted, "What are you doing? What's going on here?" It was Lady Amy. "Why are you here? Bored again?" Seeing her, Chiron thought, "I need her help to save me." The thug reported to Lady Amy, "This kid tried to kill me, so I was teaching him a lesson." Chiron desperately protested, "No, I just accidentally bumped into him." The thug didn't let him explain further and continued to use violence. "Do you think we'll believe you?" The kick left Chiron exhausted. The thug continued, "I bet your mother had to hide after giving birth to someone like you. Haha, look at him, his eyes have changed." Chiron started feeling angry, but his gaze meant nothing to them. "Why don't you stop staring, brat?" They kept kicking him. Lady Amy, unable to stay silent, said, "Stop. If you keep going, he'll die." She approached Chiron and asked, "Are you okay?" Chiron, still groaning, said, "I didn't do anything." Seeing his pitiful and pained expression, she told the thugs, "Enough, isn't this boring? Don't you have anything better to do?" The thugs replied, "We were planning to beat him up and sell him to the village in the south. He's just a commoner, no need to worry." These words shocked Chiron. Lady Amy looked at him thoughtfully, "Slaves shouldn't have any flaws, right? Why don't we check him out?" The thugs laughed. You're going to inspect him? She's telling you to strip, kid. Want more beating? Amy didn't intend to go that far. She was surprised at herself. I just wanted to see his expression. I was going to let him go after some teasing, but he didn't get mad. Chiron observed everything closely, from the thug's savage smiles to the crows flying by. All the sounds became clear in his mind. This was a different world opening up before him. Infinite green light accompanied by distinct sounds. The cracks in the trees appeared in his mind. Am I in the spirit world? The headmaster's words echoed. I'll show you a spell that can create wind with a mystical power. He gathered everything around and gradually brought it into Chiron's mind. In the current scene, the thugs continued shouting and causing a commotion. Chiron's eyes began to change with a menacing glare, staring at them. Amy noticed something and yelled, "Wait, stop." But it was too late. Chiron lifted all the thugs into the air, and they finally realized the danger, screaming in fear. His power grew stronger, his eyes glowing more than usual. Even Chiron was surprised he could perform such magic, lifting and then suddenly dropping them. They fell with a thud under Chiron's gaze. His eyes showed some fear, but it was nothing compared to his fear when they said they would sell him. The thugs, falling from a height, got scratched and bruised. Amy, sensing the situation was getting out of hand, shouted, "What are you? Where did you learn magic? How can a commoner like you?" Before she could finish, a crowd had gathered, watching and whispering. The commotion had drawn a lot of attention. Realizing it was not safe to stay, Amy used magic to fly away. Chiron was astonished. She can fly? People from a distance kept pointing and talking, some even fainting. Realizing the danger, Chiron decided to run. He knew they wouldn't listen to him, so he ran as fast as he could, thinking, this world is so cold. A vast city, but it's covered in coldness. The scene shifted to a large noble house, the residence of the first-class Karmas family. Amy returned home, muttering angrily, "Damn it. I can't believe we got beaten by a kid." Her father saw her and asked, "You're home early. Did you skip school again today, Amy?" Annoyed, she replied, "I've learned everything already. It's not fun at all." Her father sighed, feeling helpless, wondering when she would ever grow up. Even if you're a genius, you can't afford to be careless. Otherwise, you'll be surpassed someday. Amy's father lectured her, but she remained silent, which surprised him. Why is she so quiet today, he wondered. Then Amy suddenly asked, "Father, do you know anyone at the Magic Academy who could recommend me?" Meanwhile, Chiron's father called out, "Chiron. Chiron, where are you?" His mother reassured him, he's at the logging site, and said he was going to gather more wood. Vincent, surprised, asked, "In the snow? I'll go find him." As he walked, Vincent remembered the previous spring when he had taken Chiron to the city and nearly lost him. Chiron had simply said he got lost, but Vincent was deeply curious about what had happened in that cold, desolate forest. Amidst the falling snow and barren trees, Chiron was chopping wood. He panted, but his eyes shone with a determination. He thought about the magic he had used that day, unable to replicate it since. But he remembered his ability to enter the spirit world. Attempting this in the forest, a green glow surrounded him. Chiron understood that in the spirit world, he could perceive everything, the texture, shape, and scent of the tree all at once. Suddenly, he sensed a powerful light. Though he couldn't fully understand it, he felt it. Chiron struck the tree with his axe, and with just one blow, the tree fell. Vincent, watching from afar, was astonished. That's thunderstrike, he thought, referring to a phenomenon where a tree falls with a single strike at its weak point, producing a sound like thunder. Vincent grew more skeptical about his son's abilities. After chopping the tree, Chiron methodically sawed it into smaller pieces. Reflecting on his success, Chiron thought, this is the first time I've successfully chopped a tree in one go. It's like magic. But what I need is foundational knowledge, not luck. Tomorrow and the day after, I'll keep practicing because one day, my chance will come. 3 years later, the harsh winter ended. Now a young man, Chiron sat meditating on a tree stump, then suddenly stood up, taking his axe to another tree. He reminded himself, don't just look with your eyes, feel it. Focusing with all his might, he struck the tree, which immediately fell. Chiron felt attuned to the natural world, sensing the movement of insects and the absorption of nutrients by the trees. Remembering his teacher's words, he realized a new world was opening up to him. After finishing, he carried the wood home, noticing 2 unfamiliar animals and a luxurious carriage outside his house. Are there guests? He wondered. Chiron entered, announcing, I'm back, but his eyes changed when he saw the visitors. Vincent introduced him, come in, Chiron, meet this gentleman. He's the assassin butler of the Ogent family. The butler greeted him warmly, nice to meet you, you can call me Temurin. Chiron politely bowed, my name is Chiron. A flood of thoughts crossed Chiron's mind. The Ogent family is the second most powerful noble family in the kingdom. Why would their servant come here? The butler asked if Chiron could read. I've learned a little, Chiron replied, still confused about the situation. Could you explain why you're here? The butler nodded approvingly. You seem well educated for a woodcutter's son. Can you read? Chiron confirmed, and the butler continued, we need help transferring nearly 10,000 books from the main library of the Ogent estate. This task will be handled by you and me alone. Chiron's interest was piqued. A library? The Ogent family's library must contain valuable knowledge for a mage. But the butler had strict conditions. Only your family will know about this. If even one book goes missing or any information leaks, your life and your family's lives will be at risk. Chiron understood why his parents were so worried. The butler added, we will pay handsomely. More money than you could ever earn from hunting. Vincent, angry, protested, I'm not doing this for the money. I just want Chiron to fulfill his dreams. The butler laughed, do you think your son will have a career? Stop dreaming. Why else would you let me use him? Vincent replied, because you said he could read. The butler said, that's to be expected, but even if the boy can read, I can't supervise him constantly. You say you hope the boy can fulfill his dream. You've been deceiving your son all along. This made Vincent recall a time when Chiron was young. He had been surprised to see Chiron reading. Olina had taught Chiron a few words for fun, but after turning 6, the boy began reading books to learn. Could he be of noble lineage? Vincent wondered. If the boy were raised by nobles instead of us, he could attend school. But Vincent quickly dismissed the thought. What am I thinking? Chiron is my son. It's right for a woodcutter's son to learn forest work. Yet Vincent felt afraid when he saw Chiron working in the mountains. Regret and remorse filled him as he realized he had raised Chiron as a woodcutter's son. Angry, Vincent shouted at the nobleman, I don't want any of your money. If I had known this would happen, I would never have asked for help. Get out of my house. Vincent asserted his honor and pride. The butler, putting on his hat, thought disdainfully, people who don't know their place. But then Chiron spoke up, I'll do it. The butler paused, and his father was taken aback. The assassin butler asked, are you serious? I'm not one to be intimidated. Even the slightest rumor will mean your death. Chiron, unperturbed, replied, let me do it. I won't reveal anything, and if anything bad happens, I won't hold you responsible. The butler seemed more satisfied with Chiron's attitude. If you're so eager, I'll come to get you in a week. If you change your mind before then, it's fine. But once you enter the mansion, you won't leave until this task is completed. After the butler left, Vincent, worried, asked Chiron, why did you agree to this? Those bastards just want someone to die for them. This is my fault. I'll take responsibility. Just refuse this, please. But Chiron was excited, thanks, Dad, for giving me such a great opportunity. His father was more confused and hugged him tightly. Don't worry, Chiron. Come back safe. I promise they won't harm a hair on this family's head. Yet Vincent continued to question himself, Chiron, have I raised you well? Olina, unable to hold back her tears, watched the touching embrace between father and son. A week later, another man arrived at their house with a contract. After Vincent signed it, they hurriedly led Chiron away. He was shoved into a carriage and taken away. Inside, Chiron stared at the two men opposite him. Gradually, he closed his eyes and entered the spirit world. Images of his parents appeared in his mind, but he couldn't touch them. Lost in these visions, he reminded himself not to waver. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, albeit a double-edged sword. The carriage rolled toward the kingdom of Thormia. The Ogent family's main estate was in Cray City. Known for producing prominent swordsmen, the Ogent family's previous head was a third-level swordsman, and the current head, Bischoff Ogent, was a fourth-level knight. According to the supervisor, they controlled significant power in the city. The magnificent path to the estate was famous. Seeing Chiron's expression, the supervisor sneered, scared? This family is full of monsters. Another man warned, watch your mouth. Do you have a death wish? As they followed the path, Chiron felt more grounded. This is the home of a second-tier noble family, he thought. The supervisor introduced him to an administrative room doubling as the butler's quarters and his own living space. Hearing the commotion, the butler asked, have you arrived? I'll explain your duties. Follow me. Chiron responded obediently, I'll do my best. As the door opened, a strange light illuminated the vast library of the Ogent family. Chiron was in awe. The butler began explaining, these books will be moved to a new library. Your task is to organize them. Each week, you'll receive a list of books to find and gather. Working hours are from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening. Outside those hours, you're free but cannot leave the premises. The other butlers will teach you the proper etiquette. Do you have any questions? Seeing the grand library, Chiron felt it was worth the risk. He asked, "When do I start?" "Tomorrow," the butler replied. Thus, a new journey began for Chiron, but this video ends here. Thanks for watching. Peace.